Hi, it's Annette from the Wool and Needle, and we have a few more tips for you today. We're going to do just a little, very short tutorial on making half square triangles, which if you received your first package, you'll realize you're going to use them to make your pinwheels between the birdhouse block and the bird nest block. So you start out in the instructions you cut, and these colors are for your next block, so it's a little off from there. You start out having two 3-inch squares of fabric. Place them face together, or you could do this independently. Use a pencil, a marker, however you choose, and you're going to draw a diagonal line corner to corner. Next, you will take this to your sewing machine and you will sew 1/4 of an inch or a hair less scant quarter on each side of that line, and you'll end up like this. Cut it on the line. So now you have two half square triangles for each set of 3-inch squares. So you're gonna do 3 sets like that. Now I've pressed these already so I can show you about the ruler that I want to share with you. I press to the striped side. Just be consistent whichever you do. We like to use the Block Lock ruler. This is a 3.5-inch half square triangle ruler. It has a little groove in the back. Can you see that? Because my seam allowance is on this side, my diagonal line from point to point, I want to lay right up against that. Now that kind of pushes in there and you can feel the resistance where it clicks into that spot. I'm going to trim these to 2.5 inches. So I want to make sure my 2.5 inches is inside the perimeter of the product or the block. So I'm holding it up against that seam allowance. I'm going to trim 2 sides. I like to just spin the ruler, slide it down. Now my 2.5 inches is on my trimmed edge, which leaves me just the other 2 sides to trim. Trim it. Trim this side. Now I have a perfect half square triangle where the points are very accurate. Let me just do one more real quick. Always make sure you have the diagonal edge from point to point along that seam line. I'm going to back it up just a hair. Trim it, spin it down to my 2.5-inch mark on the edge. Trim, trim, once again, a perfect half square triangle. When you get these points nice and tight like that and accurate, when you start sewing them together, everything fits so nicely. You're gonna see we did it on the pinwheel block for the first set of shipment that came out for the stitch along, and you're also gonna find it, this is your first chance to see the new block, one of the new blocks. It has the Easter eggs, but you'll put those half square triangles up here at the top of your egg block. And we'll be back and do a tutorial on some little tips on stitching on those eggs. We'll do that next week possibly.